This week's guest was a staple of 70s and 80s British TV and film, with credits including Up Pompeii, You're Only Young Twice, How's Your Father, Carry On Camping, Bless This House, and Carry On Behind. She's also met Doctor Who on audio, but is perhaps best known to us as Lieutenant Sylvia Howell in UFO. It's Georgina Moon!
Checking boosters.
Well, what a treat to have you on the Gerry Anderson Podcast, Georgina.
Nice thing to say.
Well, not at all. Thank you so much for joining us. Did you enjoy your lunch?
I certainly did.
Did that make it worth coming?
Yes, I feel very relaxed now. A lovely glass of Japanese wine.
Yeah, that's right. It was. Yes,
Interesting.
Japanese wine. So thank you for joining us. We're going to talk to you about a whole host of things from your illustrious career, because you really were there. You did it. You even bought the T-shirt.
Yes.
Worked with lots of names in the 70s and 80s that would be very familiar to lots of our audience.
Yes.
Is there one standout thing you can point to, do you think, that perhaps you're most proud of, or you feel would sum up your career?
Oh, my goodness me.
I know, it's quite a question, isn't it?
It is. And I don't think... No, I don't think there is. I'll be. I mean, I've always just worked in light entertainment, which really, the few serious plays I did, but not,
And so, what would you count as light entertainment? Explain that phrase to me. How does that?
I did a lot of farce on stage, obviously, and it seems the TV programs one did was all light entertainment.
Yes. Lots of sitcoms I see from your illustrious CV. But there's a skill there. I hope you're not putting yourself down, because comedy is an absolute art, isn't it?
Well, yes, and especially on TV, because it's not the same as comedy on stage, which you sort of can work out yourself while you're doing it.
Yes, that's true. And of course, you get that immediate response from the audience,
exactly,
which you don't get in the studio,
not
potentially.
Not in the same way. No.
So we're going to be talking to you about many things from your career, but also, of course, we have to talk about UFO.
Yes, definitely.
Which, over 50 years ago now, we've realised.
Yes.
How easily do the memories come?
Fairly easily, but it is strange. I mean, we've been saying they were jobs. They were but UFO was one of my I think second job really in that kind of work, and so the memories do fade a little bit. But UFO I can remember fairly well, and the strange thing was when I was being thought about doing UFO, was asked about it. I was working in Elstree with a man called Liberace, which is rather wonderful. And that really was my sort of first little major thing, which was very interesting. And then suddenly I got UFO.
Yes.
So sort of interesting contrast there.
Yeah, absolutely. and formative times in a young actor's career then,
very
I would
much
think.
so.
But how familiar were you with the worlds of Gerry Anderson at that point?
Well, not knowing it at the time, obviously, I certainly remember the children's series he did in the 50s.
Yeah,
obviously
really.
It was.
Yeah.
Very much so. And so extraordinary that I remember that very well.
And UFO, of course, was his first live-action series.
It was, wasn't it?
Proper
Yes,
live-action.
with humans.
With real, actual, proper humans.
Yes.
Was there a sense, do you remember at all, that this was something of a step up or a gear change for Gerry and Sylvia at that time?
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
Because of only, as far as I know, it was the first time they used humans. As I guess we all looked a bit like the puppets, our hair and all those wonderful ladies that wore the mauve wigs and things. We're looking a bit like the puppets, I feel.
Which would have been at the hands of Sylvia, I guess.
Sylvia and all those wonderful costumes.
That's right, exactly.
From puppets to humans.
There was a strange hybrid series called The Secret Service.
Oh, right.
Which was part puppets and part Stanley Unwin, in fact.
Oh, really? The man with the funny...
The Unwinese.
Yes.
The language, that's right, yeah.
How wonderful.
Yes, and then UFO, as you say, the first proper sort of live-action series.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, let's see what else you don't know, because when we strap our guests down to the chair, we like to test them on their Gerry Anderson knowledge.
Dear.
So we're going to show you some really very quick clips from every one of Gerry's 18 series.
18 series.
Yeah.
I think
We're going to go right back to 57, I think, to the earliest,
goodness,
and all the way up to 2005, I think, with Captain Scarlet. So we're going to show you some of these clips when you see one that you recognise, shout it out,
All right.
and we'll see how well you do.
Okay.
Ready for this?
Well, sort of. The Adventures of
Yes.
Twizzle.
Yeah, well done. That's a good start.
Oh, that's a fireball. No,
Not
too
quite.
soon. Oh, that's the four feather.
Good.
falls, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Supercar.
Yes, that's
Oh,
right.
I'm surprising myself. Oh, that lovely song. I missed it. That was. Oh, that's Thunderbirds, is it?
Not quite.
Not quite. Oh,
It's very
no.
quick, I know.
I've lost. That's Thunderbirds.
Exactly.
That's Thunderbirds. Oh, golly. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm. Oh, is that? No, it's
Too quick. It's all too quick. This is the strange Stanley Unwin
Well,
program.
this I didn't know.
That's right.
That I didn't know about. But this could be UFO.
There you go. Good.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Oh.
And now,
Oh,
Robert Vaughan.
Gosh, yes, Robert Vaughan in. No, I'm not sure.
That's all right. Now, we're heading into the 80s now.
Oh. Is that
Yes.
beginning of the T?
Yes.
Terror,
Yes.
whatever it is,
Good.
Hawks,
I'm going to
yes.
give you that one, Terrorhawks. Yeah.
No, not quite sure of this one.
Just
No.
a couple more.
No, I don't know.
That's all right. And finally.
And finally, no,
No.
I'm not sure.
That's all
No,
right.
so-
That's all right. Georgina, I mean, I think you might be surprised.
Oh,
I mean, there's a lot of series there, of course.
yes.
And
That one I missed, the black and white one.
Yes.
Oh, what was it? That was.
there was Supercar, there was
Supercar.
Fireball XL5.
Oh, that's the one I.
That was the song.
Oh,
I think you knew that.
Yes, I did. It
And
was too
Torchy
good.
at the very beginning, after
Torchy,
Twizzle.
the Battery Boy.
I'm going to give you 7 there.
Oh, that's
You
kind.
actually scored.
That's-
You scored 6, but I think there was at least
Yeah,
another one
six-
bubbling
six
under
and
there.
nine.
Wasn't
There were.
there? So I'm
If it
gonna
hadn't been so quick.
I know exactly. We don't make it easy, do we? I know that. So look, there's your 7,
Oh goodness, that's very.
which is very good. I mean,
Yes,
we've had
yes,
people on
yes.
2s and 3s.
Yes,
We've
well,
had people
that's-
on 17s and 18s, but that's a good middling, strong score,
Yes.
I would say.
Thank you.
Not bad at all. So
nice.
for now, there you go.
Oh.
So you were quite good on the earlier ones, Twizzle, Torchy, Four Feather Falls. You got
Yes,
quite
yes, I
quite
remember
good.
that.
So were these the
the-
kind of programs you were watching as a child?
Well, yes, they were very much so. Along with even further back, which I loved, was nothing to do with Gerry
Yeah.
Anderson. Was the Wooden Tops.
The Wooden Tops.
The Wooden Tops. And
Yes.
talking of, as we had been talking about children's,
Yeah.
they were so sweet.
Yeah.
They were very gentle programs in those days, and even with Four Feather Falls and things, and, but Torchy, they're very gentle,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
nice things.
Yes,
then.
sometimes not a lot happens.
Probably not, maybe.
But the point in a way was
had a
to
nice feel.
create comforting worlds, I
Yes,
suppose,
yes,
for children.
yes, very gentle.
And you say it's nothing to do with Gerry Anderson, actually.
Well,
Wooden-
yes, I meant
The Wooden Tops, of course, the marionettes
Oh
and
yes,
so on.
yes,
It's
yes.
all
No, I
part
didn't
of
mean
that.
that. I
No,
meant
no.
he
Yeah.
carried on that
Absolutely.
gentleness,
Yeah, that's right.
of up until a certain point when obviously children's TV now seems
Yeah.
to have changed.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
yeah, that's
A
true.
little bit more innocent than that.
Yes, I think so.
We stayed slightly innocent.
But it's interesting
Further back.
charting Gerry's career, of which, of course, inescapably you are part.
Yes,
we
I know
start
as
with the innocence of things like
Yes.
Twizzle and Torchy and so on.
Yes.
But then we hit the 70s and it's all UFO and Space 1999
yes.
and organ harvests and
Yes, yes.
alien creatures,
Creatures coming up.
and suddenly that it's like the audience grew up
Yes.
with the Gerry Anderson shows.
yes, exactly.
Out of that
yes,
sort of
yes,
time
no,
of
that's
innocence
true.
into something
and what was
darker.
wonderful with Gerry when I did UFO, and I really can remember, fun enough, it must have been one of the first days, that a nice gentleman came up to me and said, "Hello, I'm Bob Bell," and I went to school with his son, Nicholas, which was really
Right,
lovely.
yeah.
And that wasn't so long before. really.
Yes, yes.
I didn't know he was an art director. And
said.
that was nice. And then also I remember Ed Bishop coming up to me and saying, "It's nice you're here. And I've just had a daughter, and I hope I've got this right, but she was christened Georgina," which was nice. And then,
Yeah.
of course, I met Peter Gordino, who I was a bit in awe of because I started off as a dancer, and
Right.
he was one of the dancers
Ah,
at that time. And
yeah.
so all these, suddenly out of the blue, I met quite a few people on the first day of rehearsals that had a meaning. Which
How
was rather
funny,
nice.
isn't that amazing?
And
Yeah.
I remember that very well.
I'm sure. And you were mentioning earlier that you had a certain connection with a previous guest on the podcast, Aisha Bruff, that you've only
Yes.
recently discovered.
Absolutely, because we met at a convention quite a few years ago now, and then discovered we went to school together. Yes, which
Yeah.
was bizarre, slightly at different times.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
That was strange.
Yes.
Coincidence, nice.
It's interesting you mention light entertainment as a phrase, as where you found a lot of your work. And Aisha started, I think, as a dancer.
Yes, I believe she did.
And also had something of a singing
Yes,
career as
very
well.
much so, yeah.
So
Yes,
it seems
yes,
like it was
exactly.
that was more of an accepted route into TV.
Well, yes, well, maybe. I mean, it was a route for me to get my equity card. I started off as a dancer in shows,
Yeah.
as a chorus line in pantomimes
yes.
and sort of occasional. They had in those days summer seasons, and I did a couple of strange summer seasons. in
Great.
places like Clacton and
Yeah.
Worthing or something
Yeah,
as a
lovely.
dancer, and sort of that's yes. So started off in that sort of way too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I understand it was something in the blood as well, though. Your father was an actor? Is that
Yes,
right?
it
Yes.
was George Moon. Yes.
And
my
you.
grandparents too.
Oh, really?
Yes, because they were all based in London. I mean, but they went off when my father, I think, was about 4 or 5, off to Australia, and his father, my grandfather, was quite. He formed a company and toured
Right.
odd theatres in, but all light, strange comedy of the time.
Yeah.
And did an odd film with a gentleman whose name escapes me at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
They were called Diggers, and it was an Australian series of films, which my grandfather was in, which I know there are sort of clips of them I've seen, which is
wow.
bizarre.
How
Yes,
amazing.
and then obviously, anyway, my dad, he was very much a singer and dancer as well.
I see.
And then he had a partnership with. I've now just forgotten his name again. Dick Bentley.
Oh, good. Well
Sorry,
done.
Moon
Yeah.
and Bentley. Yes,
Ah.
they formed a comedy team together,
Yeah.
and then he sort of he was at the Coliseum in the pajama game.
Right.
Took over from Max Wall, I think it was then. But yes, so
Amazing.
he was very much a singing and dancing man.
So I guess that meant that when you were making your choices in life to move into the entertainment world, it was nothing unusual.
Not really, no.
Were
I
you
suppose,
encouraged in that, or?
Not desperately encouraged.
Yeah.
not that much so, because
Yeah.
even then, it was a difficult profession, which we both know.
Indeed.
Can be.
Yeah. Our amazing Chris Dale did a little bit of digging online, and we think we found a little clip of your dad.
Oh.
If you wouldn't mind us showing now.
Well, this would be.
Let's have a look at this.
Gosh. Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Can I get you anything? No, I don't think so.
How extraordinary.
You think I've seen your face somewhere, haven't I? Oh, I think that's very unlikely, sir.
Well, how bizarre.
Ensign James.
That's-
Yes, he used to do a radio show. What was his name? Billy Jarvis. So I did. Now you're
How-
still doing.
Goodness me. That's it.
That's a damn shame. You're not supposed to the old times, eh? Don't you ever get the urge to pick up a microphone once more? Oh, I do sometimes, you know. Well, it's nice of you to remember me. Very few people do these days.
How
Well, I must be
extraordinary.
getting along.
Goodness me. And with
Yeah.
Jeremy
Wilkin, that's
How
right. There you go.
bizarre.
There we
Well,
go.
That is a real. I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
Lovely, isn't
obviously.
it?
Yes. How clever of you.
So there we are. Well, that's Chris.
Right,
that's
that's
from
Chris.
Undermined in, I think,
Brilliant.
what year? Do you know, Chris? 65, 1965.
1965.
Yeah.
Yes.
What memories do you have of his career? Were you kind of aware growing up that he was involved in
Yes. Because
filming and so on?
He was in a long-standing series called Shadow Squad, and it became a character called Ginger Smart, which seemed to really take on. That was a sort of detective series that he did for Granada, and then they did a sort of spin-off for him, playing the same part as he suddenly was in an airport. It was called Skyport.
Oh, yes.
And he worked in the lounge or whatever it was in a airport situation.
Right.
And if I've got my facts right, and this was Granada as well, it went out twice a week, which was the first time, because it was a soap, it was a sort of soap, that had been done.
Yeah.
You know, obviously afterwards Coronation Street,
Yes.
and a lot of people and actors from Coronation Street were in it.
Right,
in the
yes.
series. And
Shot in Manchester then, I guess,
yes,
if it's
absolutely,
Granada. That's
very
right.
much
Yes,
so.
of course, yeah.
So that time.
Ah.
So he yes, he was, for that character, it was extraordinary. He was very much well known at that point. Yeah.
And do you remember, was there a moment in your young life where you made a conscious decision to follow in his and your grandparents' footsteps, or was it a more gradual process?
It was a gradual, and it happened that Arts Educational was very close to where we lived. It really was like a block away. It was at that time sort of in the middle of London, and it then moved when I joined it. It was there. I had to move schools because I'd gone to a little kindergarten around the corner, and then suddenly Arts Educational was practically on the doorstep, and knowing that it did, you got your education,
Yes.
so called,
Yeah,
and then you did either ballet or drama,
Yes.
whichever. But that actually moved to 144 Piccadilly, which was at one point, I'm not sure what we're going back, it was a residence of the royal family at one time.
Oh, wow.
And it was on the corner. It's now the Intercontinental Hotel
Okay,
on the
yeah.
corner there, because I remember there are pictures of it. People did try and save it. People moved in and
Yeah.
squatted to try and save it, because it was a
Right.
beautiful building. It was
sure.
wonderful.
Yeah.
In the rooms where we had ballet classes and things, they had these beautiful Adam fireplaces, and there was a wonderful staircase going. It was a lovely, lovely building.
Yeah.
There are still a few of them
Yeah.
after it, but that got pulled down. So
And happy times?
yes, very.
Really?
Oh, very happy
Yeah.
school time.
So
yes.
how long were you there?
Oh, I was there
Your
until
sort of
I
secondary
left.
education, I
Yes,
guess.
yes. Nigel Havers was there. Jane Seymour,
Right.
Joyce Frankenberger to us.
Yeah.
Who else? I think David Hemmings went there
Oh,
as
yes,
well.
right.
And there were quite a few others.
Yeah.
Beryl Reid, not Beryl Reid,
right.
Beryl Gray,
Okay.
who was a famous ballet dancer. She was the sort of director of the school at one point.
And what were your ambitions at that point? Just to work somehow in the industry, or did you
Yes,
have a
yes.
specific kind of end point in mind?
No, I thought dancing to begin with.
Yeah.
But no, not just to sort of enter it and find out what happened. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I did a few things when I was a little girl, because the school did put you forward for modelling, and I did a bit of that, and then I did I hadn't thought about this for ages. I played Marigold. They did that Wind in the Willows.
Oh, yes.
Toad of Toad Hall, whichever.
Yeah.
And that was a regular thing at Christmas at that time. And
Right.
I played Marigold one year and it was Peter Woodthorpe who played Toad, who
Right.
was a rather lovely actor, at the Comedy Theatre.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was quite a little
Yeah.
interesting moment.
Yeah.
And so,
And how was life when you graduated then? Still as a young actor?
yes.
I mean,
well,
was work easy to come by, or?
no, I think it was still, no, it was iffy and you know,
Yeah.
and as I say, I got this thing with Liberace. He had a series, and as I say, that was at L Street Studios. He had a series, it was 13 episodes, I think we did. And he'd have guests on the show. This was a very wonderful moment to meet certain people. But it was situated as though he was living. It was in his lounge or whatever.
Right.
And he had a maid and a butler. And I was the maid.
Fantastic.
And Richard Wattis was the butler. And so we'd have little moments with him. And everything.
Yeah.
It was very nice. He insisted to just call me Georgina, which was rather nice.
Yeah,
And he
right.
was charming.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
sure.
put that in. He really was.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was not the person,
Yeah.
you know, he was,
Yeah.
he gave a wonderful party at Madame Tussaud, saying, and the invitation said, you know, the King and Queen, Henry VIII, and all the people that were in the room that we were going to have the party in,
Right.
and Georgina. And he made a point of inviting everybody from all the people
Yeah.
in the offices
Right.
to it as well,
Yeah.
which was rather nice.
Yeah,
So
great.
he was rather a good guy.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, then UFO came along.
Yes, okay.
I think I thought, this is it. This
Right,
is
off we go. That's right. Okay. Well, since you brought up the subject, let's have a little look at you in action from UFO.
yes. Oh, golly.
No tanks, 126.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Golly, gosh.
Steady at 8 fathoms, sir.
That's so weird.
Right.
And that lovely man.
Nothing in sight. Prepare to surface. Surface stations. Maintain visual and radar. Watch for surface vessels.
I have a radar sighting. Bearing 279.
Right.
Gosh,
There we
I haven't
are.
seen
I'm sorry
these.
to
I
take
haven't
that,
Amazing.
snap you back into in
I
time.
know. I mean, I've forgotten that. And that was another thing. I mean, that lovely man whose name totally escapes me.
Chris?
Was the
Gary Myers.
Gary Myers?
is that he wasn't he the Cadbury? Yes, yes, I thought so. Yes, he was lovely. I had these lovely guys, and John Kelly. I vaguely knew him because, strangely enough, he worked with my agent. He used to pop in, I think, to their office,
Yeah.
and and so I knew John Kelly, and he was wonderful. He was hysterical. Once we got he tripped up or something when he came in through the door, being all, and that was the end of that. It was dreadful,
Right,
and
yes.
one couldn't almost go back to being sensible.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And lovely Jeremy,
Jeremy
who
Wilkinson,
I
yeah.
hadn't met, and since I came, we went to again a conference. I think it was with Aisha, and I hadn't met him since then.
Yeah.
And that was nice. And he was very nice.
Sort of disappeared for a while, from what I remember, didn't he, Jeremy Wilkin?
Yes.
Canada, that's right.
Oh,
and
did
then-
he?
and
Did
then,
he? Yes.
yeah,
No.
came back for a couple of appearances in the
Yes.
UK a few years
Yes.
ago.
Oh, I must have.
Yeah.
That was one of them. I
Yeah,
met
that's
him,
right.
Which was nice to see him again.
So, I'm loath to ask any more questions for now because I think we should dive into our Space 1999 lunchbox and get some viewers' questions and see what they have to ask. Because I don't want to tread on their toes.
No.
So, if you want to reach in and just take 3 or 4 for now, and then we'll do some more next week as well.
That's 2.
Yeah.
One more.
As you can imagine, you've been a very
That
popular
might be-
guest.
is
That's
that
it.
all right?
That's it. Yeah,
That's
take
it.
all those. That's right.
Okay, shall I put them to you?
Would you like me to read them to you?
Yes, I have.
Rightio. This one then is Jonathan Westall. Okay. He says, what were your thoughts about the skydiver uniform that you wore in UFO when you first saw it? Well, we had a little clip of it there.
I thought, that's interesting, but it was all very, very covered up and
Yeah.
sensible. But it's been a talking point
I'm
for a while.
sure it has. Yes. I mean, we were saying earlier that it looks revealing
Yes,
until
and
you look closer and you realise
Yes,
actually it reveals
there's a
very
great
little.
deal of padding in
Yeah,
there
that's
and covering up. Yes, quite nice with those because the men were dressed exactly the same. It was quite
Yes.
an interesting little.
Exactly. And must have been quite cool, I would think, under the
Yes,
studio
that's probably
lights.
true.
Can I ask, did you keep any of them at all? Or
No, I should. What a shame! I should have.
Maybe.
It's like keeping scripts. You should.
Yeah.
Things one should have.
I know, that's
Anyway,
right. There's a pension right there, isn't there? CJ List says, I've been watching Up Pompeii recently.
Oh, yes.
Do you have any memories of working on that show? So tell us a little about Up Pompeii and
Oh,
what you
yes.
played there.
Well, it was great fun. It was wonderful, and with lovely Frankie Howard.
Yeah.
He was an interesting guy to work with. He was great. He was
Yeah.
obviously, and Liz Lana, who luckily I went on tour with quite a few years later in a play with Bernie Breslau. Actually,
Oh, wow.
and no, it was. And Kerry Gardner was great fun. He was nice.
Yeah.
It was lovely, and Frankie was wonderful because I always remember the first series. I think it must have been. He sort of called me over, and I thought, yes, have I done something wrong? So he said, well, we're coming to the end of the series, and I'm going to have a party, so I do hope you'll be able to come and join us, and it'll be lovely. And that was
Great,
yes,
good,
and he
thank you
did.
very much.
He gave wonderful. I went to a couple of them.
Yeah.
Lovely party. Had a beautiful house in Kensington.
Yeah.
And also, as it happens, when I was on tour, fell in love with Vislana, and we were in Weston-super-Mare because he had a beautiful house just outside Weston-super-Mare. And he knew we were there, and he said, come along after the show and have a meal. So
that's what you need.
And he was lovely.
Yeah.
Character, he really was.
Yeah. Anthony Zahetner says, life on Moonbase seems terribly serious. Would you have preferred more carry-on one-liners and double entendres in UFO? And can you imagine Sid James starring in an Anderson production? And if so, which one?
I don't know, but I don't know. I think the carry-on language wouldn't be very right for Gerry Anderson.
It was much more serious, wasn't it, rather than carry on?
Quite. And
yeah.
I think, actually, we were talking about it. I would have thought Sid James, and we were saying about it, was be a good...
Parker from Thunderbirds.
Yes, wouldn't he? That was very good.
Perfect
He
casting,
would,
really.
yes.
That's right.
Right.
And finally, for now then, Kevin Gunther says, hi, Georgina. In Carry On Behind, you had a few scenes with future Anderson star Windsor Davis.
Yes, of course.
You remember that?
Yes.
Who then went to voice a character in Terrorhawks, one
Yes.
of Jerry's shows. Can you remember what he was like, and was it a fun experience working on that film?
Yes, it was, because, yes, it was. It was really just that one scene that I was in, and then there was another one, I think, in the caravan or something, when they all, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was because the whole scene, I think we had to really, had to do it once, and that was it, because we all stuck to the seats. We were all watching a film in a club or something, and I can't think how it all came about. But, yes, and so I was one of the friends there with Windsor, and Jack Douglas was the other gentleman, and was another lovely lady, and we had chats and conversation, and then we all sat down to watch this film, and then at the end of it, when everybody got up, don't ask me why, I can't remember the situation, we all Carry On Behind, we all got stuck to the seats.
Okay.
And that was all quite fun.
see,
And
yes.
Windsor Davis was lovely.
Yeah.
Yes, he was a charming guy,
Yeah.
very nice indeed, you know. So
And I think
it was
we tend to forget now, but the Carry On sort of franchise was absolutely huge.
Huge,
It was like
yes.
the James Bond movies. It was
Yes.
like almost like Star Wars.
yes,
They
so
were
many-
huge, big events,
Yes,
weren't they?
I think it was Elkie Summers who was in that Carry On behind, I think.
Right.
With them all.
And Carry On Camping, I think, as well. You had a party.
Yes. I mean, yes, that was great fun. That
Did you
was
get to go on the
way, way
campsite?
back.
Were you?
Oh yes,
Oh.
I mean, there's all the famous stories of us all standing in mud, pretending it was the sun with all the bikini, and Barbara Windsor's famous scene, and we would just slowly. They did put some boards down on some occasions, so when we walked around, we wouldn't sink into, and the trees being painted green and all that.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I heard about that.
Yes, that
Extraordinary.
was because that was quite a while back. That was one of probably the first film things. Maybe well, not quite.
Early days, though, for sure.
Yes, a long time ago.
Yes, yeah, amazing. So just before we say goodbye for this week, we'll have another quick clip. I asked you in a very brief email exchange to give me your first Anderson memory. So let's have a look at the show that you chose.
Oh yes. Oh gosh, it's a strange picture. Oh, this is of Twizzle.
There you
Yes,
go.
there we
Yeah.
go. Gosh, yes, isn't that sweet? It was lovely. Berta Lee. Twizzle.
This is the only surviving episode, I think.
Oh really? Oh really? Goodness me.
Have you heard of a twiddle toy? You haven't?
Ooh.
Well, that's because there's only one of them. But perhaps we better begin at the best place for stories, at the beginning.
It's really lovely.
Isn't
In
it?
a busy street in a busy town stood a toy shop. In its window were toys and dolls of every kind.
There we are. A very brief clip. We're not going to get as far as actually seeing Twizzle himself, I'm
No,
afraid.
never mind. I can remember him and
yeah.
his little hands all twizzling
That's
or something.
it. That's it. I mean, charming and sweet. Simpler
Yes,
times,
that's
really, I
what mean.
suppose.
Yes,
Yeah.
like the wooden tops.
That's
and
right.
Whatever there was. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
That
And a
was,
charm that seems to be
yes,
missing from
A
today's
little bit, yes.
kids' TV,
It's
maybe.
Once upon a time, I don't
Yeah.
think things start like that very
No.
often anymore. But
No, they were still very much fairy tales, weren't
yes,
they?
gentle.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
That's rather sweet.
Yeah, great. We were talking, actually, just before the cameras started to roll about programmes that have, well, been junked rather unceremoniously from the archive.
Yes.
Some of which featured your lovely dad,
Yes,
of course.
yes.
And some of which you feature in as well. I was trying to find clips of your career to show in the podcast. There are lots out there, but there are also lots that are missing.
Yes.
However, the
yes,
one thing
yes.
that does survive, of course, is UFO.
Yes, which is great. It is.
Did that surprise you that it has retained this kind of longevity?
Not now, the one thinks about it, but I suppose at the time you never, I mean, when I've gone to conventions and things and met other people from things that, you know, are still sort of happening a bit,
Yeah.
Everybody says, well, you never had any idea that some things would turn out, I suppose Doctor Who's and things and everything, that would turn out that still have such longevity. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It really is. But I guess with Gerry Anderson, the space thing is such an intriguing thing.
Yes, it is.
Still, you know,
That's
I mean,
right.
obviously. So he hit on a very clever
Yeah.
thought then to do
Absolutely.
these sort of series.
Yeah, that's right. I suspect if he was making Super Marination kitchen sink dramas...
It wouldn't be this.
Yeah. You've been to a few conventions in your time, I know. How do you find
yes.
that experience?
Oh, it would just begin with when I first, obviously, it was extraordinary to know that people were so interested in so many of these things. No, it's quite a, and you meet people that you haven't met for a very long time. It was rather nice, fellow actors, but fascinating and getting reaction from people.
Yes,
that,
many of whom now bring their children along
yes,
who are
that's
equally
true.
as interested.
Yes, and particularly obviously with something like Gerry's things,
that's
you know,
right.
which is wonderful.
Yeah. Now, I would like to show a clip before we go any further. I asked you in a brief phone call the other day for your favourite Anderson series, and it was one that you've only recently reacquainted yourself with.
Yes, I have, because lovely.
Yeah, so we'll
wonderful.
have a chat about that in a moment. Have a
Yes.
look at this.
Well, Robert, we're on our way home at last. Gee, I keep forgetting you're only a robot. Say, Venus, how's our beautiful doctor of space medicine?
I gather by the compliments, Steve, you want something to eat. I'm preparing a meal right now.
I just adore
So
your French
good.
cooking. What's on the menu today?
It's wonderful.
Blue pills, pink pills, or those delicious capsules that you make up? Boy, will I be glad to get back to Earth to have a steak. Calling navigation bay. Say, Professor Maddock, how are we doing? Are we on schedule?
Well, Steve, we are approaching position 15-0 blue, and I'm registering minus 14G from the moon. 14G from the moon? It can only mean one thing.
Well, what's that, Professor?
It's time to eat.
I think that's wonderful. I've forgotten all about it, and I did see it way back. I think it was so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so. I don't mean funny. I mean, it was just such a lovely idea.
Yeah,
that's probably why one liked it. It was still a. I thought, it was, and what it's Steve and Venus, isn't it?
Steve Zodiac and Venus.
Yes,
that's
Steve.
right.
I mean, that's such lovely names.
Yeah.
And then, which I do now remember, the little creature called
Zuni the Lazoon.
That's wonderful. I think that's so good. That is so, and I mean that little clip
Yes.
about the food and the thing.
Yes,
That's
sweet,
lovely.
isn't it?
It's
Absolutely.
absolutely wonderful.
Poor Dr. Venus banished to the kitchen, though. Sign of the times, perhaps.
Yes, maybe, but that's
right.
wonderful. And it had a wonderful theme tune.
Yes.
That lovely. I can
I wish I
vaguely
was a
remember.
spaceman.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have seen since I suddenly remembered about it. They did a wonderful thing, I don't know, of the company
Yeah.
playing the tune. You know, the
right,
puppet.
yes.
Having
That's
a,
sweet.
and that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's so clever, isn't it? I think-
don't know when that was done. I mean,
Yeah, well, I think
that was lovely.
what marked the kind of step up for these productions was the skill that they employed, not just with the
Yes.
puppetry and so on, but there's that great camera move around
yes,
Professor Mattick as
yes.
he's talking about
Yes,
being dinner
like a-
time.
yes.
It's very filmic and
Exactly,
it wasn't
yes.
just a static camera filming the puppets.
No, I don't know. I mean, wonderful. Lovely.
Recently given a new lease of life on talking pictures. I think.
Yes, that's it, where I suddenly
That's right.
I thought, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I remember this, and I
Yeah.
watched it. I
Do
couldn't
your sort
believe
of
it.
ears prick up when you hear, Gerry Anderson on the TV and it's a...
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Yes. Which happens quite a lot.
Yeah.
I was listening to the radio the other day. I do listen to the radio, and they were talking, and I can't think what it was about. It was definitely, they were talking
Yeah.
about all the
And so
Gerry's stuff.
do you feel sort of part of that,
Oh,
that legacy,
well,
that
yes,
lineage?
I do.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah.
think of it. You know, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It really is, especially being right at the beginning.
Yeah,
I
that's
think, which is
right.
quite nice.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it spans such a vast part of the 20th and into the 21st
Yes.
century.
No,
We've got
exactly.
Kate Harbour coming on in a couple of weeks' time, who
Oh,
was in
yes.
Lavender Castle, one of Jerry's later series.
Later things.
And to think
yes.
that you and I and she
yes, we're
share that
talking
same
about,
thread,
Yes,
you
I know, it's lovely.
It's
No,
rather nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's
bizarre
very sweet.
as well.
Now, we have some more questions from our viewers and
Oh, right.
listeners in our Space 1999
Gosh.
lunchbox. So, shall I dig in and
Why not?
read them
If
out
there are
for
any-
you?
Yes, no, do that.
Let's see then.
I love the box too.
It's great, isn't it?
Wonderful.
Came all the way from America, that box,
Oh,
especially for
gosh.
us. Roger Morgan, if you had a chance to ditch your string vest,
Mm-hmm.
to choose another uniform from an Anderson show, what would it be?
I think of those ladies with the mauve,
Oh.
lovely Gabrielle Drake
Yeah.
and all of that. Aisha wore a rather wonderful
Yes,
outfit.
one
I couldn't have
suit,
done
one piece.
that. I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have done it then, and I certainly couldn't do it now.
Yeah.
But no, I think those silver
Yes.
ones and
Oh, yeah, the purple
with
wigs.
the wigs and things were rather
Yeah,
wonderful.
suit you, I think. You
very
could carry
nice.
that off with
Nothing-
style, I think.
Yes, I think.
Definitely. John Reader says, "Hi, Georgina. UFO is my favourite Anderson live-action show."
Oh.
He says, "Sorry, Richard, because I was
Oh,
obviously
really?
his least favourite. Thank you for being a part of it. Can I ask you, yes, we haven't really spoken about this yet, how did you get the part? Do you remember how it came to be?"
Well, funnily enough, it's not one that I can say. I must have gone and had a chat with maybe both Gerry and
Yeah.
Sylvia, I'm sure, at some
You
point.
say you were at Elstree with the
But I was there,
Liberace
yes, I
show.
was. And obviously it was done in, that was another experience, it was done in the big MGM old original, which were studios, which were just across the road really, almost from the Elstree TV studios.
see.
And yes, I was doing that, so whether, I don't know. But I do remember, I think I did briefly I certainly met Gerry, but I don't think he directed any of the ones that I was in, that I
Right.
vaguely remember.
Yeah.
But I certainly met him, I do remember that. And I do also wonder whether I met Sylvia. I don't quite know whether, because I do remember going to somewhere like Burman's, the costumiers
Yeah.
or somewhere
Yeah.
to be fitted up.
I see.
For that I do remember.
Right.
But
Well, you
the
would, yes.
Yes. But the actual interview and things in that particular case, I don't. It must have, maybe it just,
Yeah.
came.
Fell
and
into your
they
lap
said,
somehow.
and my
Yeah.
agent said,
There you go.
happy to do it.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, do you remember, I know it's a long time ago, I know, but do you remember how you felt once you'd been given the part?
Oh, it was-
was there a sense that this was something
yes.
worth having?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And so different and
Yeah.
all thing, all my dancing days or whatever,
Yeah.
definitely. Oh, yes. And that's what I was just going to say, yes. Going into those huge studios, which were absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah.
I do remember that, and I can see the set of our underwater
Yeah.
thing. And I can also remember they had one of the huge cranes. I think for like Peter Gordino, I've seen him in a and they were up high, and on a bouncy thing to
gosh.
keep the whole thing looking as though you were in
Yeah,
an
amazing.
aircraft thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But the studios were wonderful. That I do remember. I remember having a dressing room, which obviously in the day was very glam and posh because it had a sort of chaise lounge and
Yeah.
the lights with little light shades on them, and
Amazing.
it was all terribly twee, but all
Yeah.
a bit old.
Yeah, okay,
and,
yeah.
and I think it was after then, probably Gerry Anderson's filming there stopped. I
Right.
would think because they did pull the
Yes,
place down.
I see,
I know, I
yes.
think they built new
Yeah,
studios,
yeah.
but no, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. No, that was quite something.
And so, and it was home for a while, I guess.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
So how
yes.
long were you on the
I
show?
don't know. It certainly was
Many months?
It must have been
Yeah.
quite a few.
Yeah.
Yes, because it wasn't like every week, like a sort
Yeah.
of you were called
As and when.
certain days, and
Yeah.
yes, in just doing the bits that we all did. That's
Yeah.
why we never really met. We didn't meet anybody else. We always
That's
just met
right.
the ones we were working with.
And a happy company from what you remember?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, certainly with
In your little
yes,
bubble.
because I mean that was very nice. I was the only lady
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all those lovely chaps.
Yeah.
And no, it was great fun. It
Yeah.
was lovely. Very
Yeah.
happy.
Great, good. Steve Bushell says, hello, Georgina. It must have been a joy to work on Carry On Camping. You see what he did there?
Yes.
But
Joy. Oh, yes, that's right.
who was the most joyous actor you work with, and what brings you the most joy in life?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I
Who was the
don't
most
know.
joyous actor to have worked with?
My dad. Well, do that, shall I say that? Yes.
of course.
Because, I've worked with lots of lovely chaps. And
What did you
ladies,
do with him?
Well, I did a pantomime with him, which was great fun in Coventry at the Belgrade. Remember, Jeff Holland was in it, who I met a few months ago, actually. It was rather nice.
Yeah.
And my dad did a lot of pantomimes. He became quite well known as Dame, you know, as
brilliant.
dames did in those days.
Yeah.
It was a sort of thing. He was very good. And so that was lovely, and I was in that with him. And that was quite fun. That was the first time we'd ever... that was really working with him.
Yes.
And then he came and did a You're Only Young Twice, which was rather nice.
Ah.
That was rather sweet. That was very nice. He came
Great.
and had a nice little go there.
We'll be taking a look
so
at that a bit later.
Those are the times we worked together, which was great.
And what brings you, can I ask, on behalf of Steve, what brings you the most joy in life?
Oh, the most joy.
Yeah.
Yes, do we all get that? I don't know. Food.
Yeah, good.
Good company.
Good, absolutely,
I think,
Yeah.
the things that we all enjoy,
Yeah,
really.
lovely.
You know.
Stuart James Lusher finally says, how much fun was it being on the set of Skydiver in UFO and working on Carry On Camping? Is it important to you to have fun on a job, do you think?
Well, I think it's nice that even if it's not, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Very much indeed.
Yeah.
And luckily, touch wood, I don't know if you're on some real drama, serious number or something, that could be a different sort of thing.
Maybe.
Which I haven't done, but all these things have been sort of
Yeah.
generally light. I remember in Carry On Camping, yes, it was great. There was one scene when we were all in the coach going to the thing with Kenneth Williams, obviously, and Hattie Jakes, and we had to sit and wait while it was lit, and it was on a coach, and we sat there. And I must say, I remember that, and Kenneth Williams being wonderful. He was chatting and talking and being very amusing. Bright and clever man he was.
Yeah.
He was so knowledgeable as well.
Yeah.
I worked with Bernie Breslau too, actually, on a long tour. I know he was in the Carry On films, and he was another one who, because he always played these sort of slightly silly people and rather sort of innocent people, he was a lovely chap to be with when we were on tour. A very bright, knowledgeable guy.
Yeah.
Which is
Do you
rather
feel
nice.
lucky to have such memories?
Yes, very. Yes,
Because there's names you keep pulling out the hat,
yes,
almost legendary, aren't they?
Yes, lots of nice. And I worked with John Inman on a long tour, two long tours actually, and he was lovely. And again, not Mr. Humphreys, is it?
That's right.
Yes,
That's it.
he's not. He's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And Trevor Bannister.
Yeah.
On tour with him,
Yeah.
and Robin Asquith. I did a
Right.
couple of times.
Yeah, amazing.
So these nice guys, yes,
Yeah.
all these peoples.
Yeah. That's right. You've mentioned it already. You're only young twice.
Yes, that was lovely.
Yeah.
That really was.
Yeah,
And all those lovely ladies.
Yes.
And in fact, Peggy was first. I went on a tour. The first tour I went on, that was an Agatha Christie. So I did do some straight.
Absolutely right.
Yes, that was the first tour I'd ever done,
Yeah.
and I went on tour with her.
Peggy Mount, is that
Peggy
that's
Mount,
right?
sorry,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely. And no, she was great on tour. We did lots of going to places and doing things, and Peggy and I and a couple of the others, we'd go off. And then suddenly I met her again.
Yeah.
Actually, she
right.
lived very close to where we lived, funnily enough, for a long time. So.
Well, let's have a quick look at a clip from You're Only Young Twice. Let's have a look.
Remember the music so
great,
well
isn't
now.
it?
Yeah, I hear it. Yes.
Gone. Mr. Chatterbox.
Oh, I know him. He wrote about my sister's triplets. There was an awful fuss.
Why?
She only had twins.
Oh, you're busy. I'll come back.
Stay. It's cards on the table time. What has been happening in my store cupboard?
Ah. Well, I can explain that. You see, I was changing a bulb and Finchy was holding the ladder for me.
The light went out.
Aha, I see where this is leading.
Hope you don't.
You are about to say that while the light was out, somebody stole 27 cubes of fluoride extra sparkle.
You go back in after?
Not to mention 6 packets of cornflakes, jumbo size.
Did you?
Here. This ties in with the missing toilet rolls.
Rolls? What are you telling me? What are you saying to me?
12 Wedgwood, 12 burnt orange, and 24 yucky green.
Toothpaste, toilet rolls, and cornflakes. What are my ladies up to?
How funny.
I mean, millions upon millions of people watch these programs.
Yes, that's true. That's
You know.
true. Yes, that was. It was quite gentle. It was
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
funny and,
But
nice.
you know, a big part of people's lives.
Yes,
Almost
yes.
sort of golden age of TV.
Yes,
really.
yes.
Do you feel that?
Yes, very much so. I totally agree. I mean, yes, that was. I think it was quite popular at the time as well. And
Yeah.
I still get a Christmas card from Pam Valentine, who wrote it, which is rather nice.
Yeah.
And there's ladies, all of them. All of
Yes.
them are great fun.
I mean, you also mentioned a few names you're on tour with, the likes of John Inman and Peggy Mounties as well. As a younger actor, was that an opportunity to look and learn?
Oh, very much so. Yes, I think you did.
Yeah.
Definitely. No,
Yeah.
no question.
And to find yourself then in that particular series, Pat Coombs as well.
Yes. Oh no, Pat was lovely. She
Yeah.
was great fun. Because she and I seemed to always be travelling up and down to Leeds together. Peggy used to drive. I think Johnny Wade used to drive her down and up. And I had many a hysterical sort of laughter with Pat. She was great company. It was great fun. That was great fun to do.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We all had many a laughs, and then we had a wonderful weekend in Scarborough. I remember we did one down there. They're filming all down there.
Oh, right.
And we had a great time.
Yeah.
Both on and off.
Yes, I'm sure.
It was lovely.
And was there a sense at this point, or at any point really, where you felt that you perhaps on a bit of a roll, and here we go, the career's shaping up nicely, or did it's a difficult career, as we know. Did you ever feel that?
I've often had moments of what's going to happen next. Yes, I think as any actor does. I mean, you probably.
No. Been there and done that.
We all know that. Yes, it's a strange profession. I'm sure it's even, I don't know, harder now. I would imagine, because there's so many stations. There are so many. It's not just your regular TV.
Absolutely.
It's so many different avenues now, and so it's a bit changed. I would have thought.
Seems to me that I don't know.
And theatres. Sorry, I was just going to say, and the touring is. I don't know hardly anything. I think tours now. There are the nice few theatres like Bath we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Lovely
I think touring's too
theatre
much of a
there.
financial risk, perhaps. That's the thing,
Yes, and
isn't
so
it?
that sort of part of the profession, which one did, and I did that quite regularly. Those tours, are not around as like they were, so it's a different thing.
There seems to have been I don't know, back in the day, a sort of a smaller pool of actors as well that all seem to crop up in everything.
Yes,
and maybe
that's very
maybe it's kind of too overpopulated now.
Yes, exactly. Very much so.
Yeah. Well, and you were one of them for a while, so that's good.
There we are.
Let's have a look at a final clip. This is from something called Dawson's Weekly. Les Dawson's sketch show, I think.
Yes.
Take a look at
This I almost don't. Well, I don't remember actually. How extraordinary, golly! Oh my goodness!
What is it? Traffic accident, a nasty one.
Good God.
Oh, how awful.
His head's completely twisted round.
He's still alive.
He can't be. You bloody fool. Who put his helmet on back to front?
He was like that when we got to it.
No wonder he had an accident and couldn't see where he was going. Help me to turn him round.
That's quite funny.
Yeah.
Goodness me, God, I don't remember.
Gladys! Gladys! How's Gladys?
What's the little woman with him?
Not when we got to him. Gladys! Gladys! How is she? Got a picture this evening? Cost me a fortune, she did.
There wasn't a woman with you.
Not a woman, you daft pillock me back, Gladys!
That's lovely. Lovely Gordon Rowling's.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes, I know. Yes, I haven't forgotten about that. But I do remember us all going to the bar afterwards.
Yeah.
And Les was amazing. He would almost his chat, and he would do another quick performance. Really, almost but in the nicest possible way.
Yes.
He was great fun.
Yes.
Yes. No,
So,
I've forgotten that.
I mean, do you look back with a sort of sense of satisfaction at your career in those years?
Yes, a little bit. I hope.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
As I say, it's been a long time, and doing things. Yes, sort of. Yes.
Or does it feel like it was another life entirely?
Like a dream.
Is it
Yes,
strange
it does.
to marry the two?
I suppose it is. It's like everything, I think. And as I was saying, just suddenly you don't always remember the things because it was a job and you did the thing and it was lovely and you did it and you move on, and then when like now and you suddenly say, do you remember?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Nope.
And where did it? I can't even remember if it. I think it was in Leeds. Yes, I've just remember.
And you
I
did
think.
several of those episodes, did you? I'm guessing as a guest player, or just that?
No, I think it was just that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us and telling us a little of your career.
Oh.
I don't know if you dabble in things like social media, if you're on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, or you have a website where our viewers might. No, fine.
No.
Well, in that case, we're all the more lucky to have you with us.
That's very kind.
So thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Georgina Moon.
Oh,
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?